Hi. So I haven't posted up here in a while, and something that's been really present in my life lately that I thought was important to share with everyone because I think we all should learn how to know our yeses and how to know our nos and when to speak up for them. So saying yes is like saying yes to our true north, to what really brings us peace, what brings us happiness, what brings us joy, and having the courage to say no to anything, anyone that doesn't align with that. And knowing what brings us happiness and joy, if you have to break it down analytically, we could break it down to like what we value and really think about it. But really, what's truly important is if we tap into the feeling of it. Um, I'll give an example. I'm in upstate New York right now, doing pretty much the same thing that I was doing in Bali, but my heart feels so at peace in a very different way here. And I know it's because I'm listening to my intuition to come back to the US. And this is just one example, but really feeling with our heart of if we feel at peace versus if we feel anxious, if we feel confused. When we're listening to our intuition, we are always at peace and we're always in silence. If we feel anxious, confused, there's lots of thoughts going on, it's because we're thinking about it and we made our choice from thought, which there's nothing wrong with, but really learning what our true yes is and what our true no is, we need to rely on our feelings and we need to rely on living in alignment with our values, living in alignment with what feels right for us, Something that is really important in knowing our yes and our no is scarcity or poverty consciousness. So there's been actually a lot of studies done on this as well, but essentially when we're living in poverty consciousness, when we're living in this experience of scarcity as if there's not enough, whether it be money or opportunities or resources, whatever it is, we tend to just, our nervous system's actually in fight or flight, and we tend to make choices based on fear instead of based on what we truly want. And for those of us who, many of us, are really living with like at least a small baseline of anxiety in our lives. And that baseline of anxiety is what's actually making our choices for us, not our consciousness, not our heart, and not our truth, not our true north, our true yes. So practices that I do to bring me back to delete that baseline of anxiety is a lot of meditation, yoga, kriya, dance, art, creation, anything, being in nature, anything and everything that brings me into silence. So I encourage anyone to find what works for you and feel free to use any of those options. Because most importantly, if we can come to that baseline of calmness and full trust that there's always more in whatever we choose to do, it will work out because we're choosing it, So it's like any choice we make, just follow it. But if we can make those choices from a place of love and true thought and true calmness and true centeredness, there's a much greater capacity for us to really truly live the lives we dream of. And I know this from experience. I mean, I've traveled to like 45 countries and I've studied with some of the most incredible yoga and meditation masters in the world. And I've I was acting and modeling when I was younger, and I've been creating so many different businesses and so many different things that I love to do, and still in my process of finding what it is, but I know that I have, and we all have, the power to live our dreams. And so if we're saying yes to our second choice because, oh, it pays the bills or, X, Y, and Z, yeah, of course we all need to think about that, but if we're saying yes because of the money or because it looks good on paper or because it's like the next step in your career, even if that opportunity doesn't feel right, then that's not saying yes. That's not really knowing our yes and knowing our no, right? Because if we can say no to things that are not in alignment with our heart, we can open that space up for things that are, even if it's the same kind of opportunity. It could be with a different community or different company. It could be in a different place in the world. Whatever it is, just trust that when you know your yes and you know your no, and you can communicate that honestly, most importantly with yourself, true freedom can really, really start to take place. Knowing oneself, knowing what's a yes and knowing what's a no, knowing that it can change and it probably will change. That whatever's a yes for you and whatever's a no for you, and listening to that and honoring and having enough respect for yourself that you listen to what those yeses and what those nos are and communicate them. And most importantly, if you're still finding what that yes is, if you're still in that process, which most of us, many of us are, really give yourself the freedom of your imagination. So when we're kids, we can imagine anything. We're like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if I could travel the world? Or wouldn't it be cool if I could work online? Or wouldn't it be cool if I could create a cure for cancer? Whatever it is. Get imaginative. Because this kind of space that we can go into, this is where our intelligence and our creativity lie. And this is where you're going to feel if it's a yes or if it's a if it's a maybe, then it's a no. Right? And if it's a yes, you know it. We all know it because it feels so alive. So really, yeah, take this as an opportunity if you don't know what that yes is, to imagine different circumstances for yourself and really feel into what they tell you, if it's a yes or a no.